Hey, Anton.
Yeah, Margaret?
You know what people don't talk about enough?
What?
I would stand Felice this episode if it wasn't for the August of it all. Welcome to People Don't Talk About Young Royals. I'm Margaret. My pronouns are they, them.
And I'm Anton. My pronouns are he, they.
And we're people here to discuss the show our friends are sick of hearing us talk about.
And if that sounds like you, stick around. If your friends sent you this podcast out of a desperate attempt to get you to watch Young Royals, take this as a sign.
Go watch Young Royals, then come back to this podcast.
Margaret, what are we talking about today?
Today we will be having a character discussion of Felice in Season 1, Episode 4, having decided that it's complicated.
Yeah. In this discussion, we won't be summarizing the plot of the episode because we already did that. If you need a refresher, head back 8 episodes on our feed to our most recent This Week in Telersco for a more full breakdown. This episode discussion will likely be all over the place, so strap in. You have been warned.
This might be the only time, and don't hold me to this, but I let us get away with having somebody be complicated because of a relationship.
I'm bringing it back to who I feel like she is as a person in this episode. But before I feel like I, and also probably you, are going to interrogate Felice pretty rudely for a while, I want to appreciate her friendship with Wilhelm.
Yes. And yes.
Yeah. Like, she is really the only support he has. The only support he's allowing himself to have.
Yeah.
And she is so necessary in that regard.
Oh,
for getting
100%.
Like, we're getting him through this episode, like, period.
No, honestly. Yeah.
And, like,
I think,
like, through his separation from Simon this episode.
yes,
so.
for sure. And it's also just, like, the purest friendship in this entire show right now.
It really is. Like, they are, to the degree that Wilhelm is honest with anyone that isn't Simon.
Yeah.
Like, right below that is Felice. Like, I will fully admit,
sure.
I think he is, like, still putting up a bit of a front with Felice because,
Yeah.
I think it's entirely valid too, because it's like, I mean, we are both queer, we get it. Like, really, ultimately, what it comes down to is the one thing that they have between them, even though Felice might be able to possibly tell, given how he rejected her, but also, like, she also is probably lives in just as much of a heteronormative world as he does.
Right.
Like, but, like, ultimately, he hasn't come out to her.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, that is really the one thing between them. That's the one separation I really feel. Like, he's being generally honest, but Felice has no idea about Simon and has no idea about Wilhelm's feelings for Simon or Wilhelm's, like, sexuality in general. So it's like, they can talk about Eric, but they can't talk about the other thing that's majorly bothering Wilhelm.
Yeah.
And it's like, I do kind of wonder how much Felice recognizes that Wilhelm is in pain for other reasons, or if it kind of is all just a wash. Like, she knows he's in pain and just not really looking at the specific reasons because she figures, like, his brother just died. Like, it doesn't need to be more than that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I also think it's very baby girl bestie that the times we see, the times that we see them together, they're just, like, laughing and having a good time. It's not, like, super deep conversation, because I don't think it needs to be.
Yeah, the one deep conversation they have is, like, basically her being like, sorry about kissing you, and he's like, no, we're forgetting that. And then from that point on, I think that just establishes like a lightness to the relationship that, like, it doesn't mean it's not a serious friendship, and
right,
it doesn't
100%.
mean that, like, they couldn't potentially talk about deep shit,
right?
But I think it establishes just a pattern of levity in their friendship, that, like, they don't have to be the person that, like, they don't necessarily, unless like one of them comes to the other one with, like, I need to talk about this serious thing, I think they will just let each other be light and just, that's the word I was looking for. It's not like a frivolous relationship. Like, it's not like It's that not that they're not being gentle and light with each other because they don't care. It's because they do.
Yeah. And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like, I know that you're having these like dark emotions right now, so I'm gonna give you space to not have to feel them.
Yeah,
all the time.
I want with me to be like the one time
Yeah.
that you don't have to sit in those, because we're gonna stay as far away from those as possible.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, again, like, is so necessary if Villa does not have Simon to lean on. Like, he needed somebody, and Felice is that somebody, thankfully.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know what this episode looks like if Felice isn't there for Wilhelm.
I don't think we have a rest of a show. I think that is
I think that's sort of it. Yeah. Like, really darkly, but really honestly. Like,
yeah. If we're going to be honest with ourselves, and
like,
it brings me
even
absolutely
like,
no
even,
joy to say it.
Like, even with Felice as his friend, we see how self-destructive Villa is.
Oh, he's so self-destructive.
It would be that, but so worse.
It'd be the beginning of the episode, the entire episode.
Right. And so it's like, if that was all we got of Felice this episode, it would, in a fairness, like, being decided how someone's categorized based on the relationship with another person, but, like, it shows a side of Felice that, like, I'm not going to say we haven't seen, but I feel like there are a few relationships on this show, and especially where Felice is involved thus far, where she is Wilhelm's friend entirely selflessly.
Yeah.
She's his friend because she wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, she could have also made it awkward. Like, Wilhelm was kind of already chill enough before Eric's death that he probably wouldn't have really made a big deal out of it. But, like, she literally was crying over him last episode.
Yeah.
So it's like, she could have made this weird if she
could
wanted
have.
to.
But then she slept with his cousin, so.
Yeah, it's weird in a whole other way. But, like, she could have made this weird if she wanted to, and she decided not to.
Yeah.
Which I think speaks to her character.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful, to be honest.
But which is why she's deeply complicated in this episode. Possibly, like, more than she's ever been more complicated. Like, which I think does mean that we have to get to, basically for the rest of the episode, talking about her relationship with August.
Yeah.
And I want to start off with this big question.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a serious question, but they're all tied together. Is Felice patient, or is she simply settling?
I think she's settling.
Is she trying her best to have understanding for August, or is she resigned to stay with him because he's shown interest in her and she doesn't want to be alone?
I think it's the second one.
Yeah, I think so too.
But I don't think she actually likes him.
Yeah, we'll get to that later. But okay. Like, at least that's a little bit later in my notes. I just want to establish, like, this episode is called Felice the Patient, but that's because, like, Felice the Settling seemed a little too mean for a character complicated.
Yeah, a little bit.
I think this is the big question we have to ask this episode. We already answered it.
What a big question.
Like, I mean, I again have the episode art here in the doc for Margaret to see, and it's like as August is leaving their big fight in her room, and, like, what does that look like other than a person who, like, would love to break up with August, but just doesn't have it in her?
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't really have anything else to say about that besides I agree, because I would also love for her to break up with August.
Yeah, like, as stated before, and we can't stress this enough, and we know this to be true, Felice does nothing wrong in this episode.
No, that's legitimately my only notes that I have. Like, besides being with August, I can't think of a single thing she does wrong this episode.
But this is how I'm justifying it to myself. Given where she started in this series, I personally need to see true growth. Like,
yeah, I haven't seen much.
Mostly in her own sense of self-worth.
Yeah.
In order to stand. Like, she is still putting up with bullshit, which normally wouldn't keep a character from being stand. Like, Wilhelm and Simon, and to a degree Sarah, are all putting up with bullshit.
Yeah.
But we still stand them. But Felice is putting up with August bullshit. which is a whole other magnitude of problem as far as I'm concerned. Like,
yeah.
Felice can't know the extent of who August is and what he's capable of.
No.
But she knew enough in the first 2 episodes to reject his advances out of hand. Like, didn't even question saying no to the amount of time, however many times he's asked her out in the month before this, or more than a month before this.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I totally feel for her. Feeling rejected by the guy she thinks she likes. Important distinction there. And feeling like she needs to go to the next best option. But Goral with an O, please check your head if you think August is anything but a severe downgrade from Wilhelm.
Yeah, it's a chronic downgrade.
Like, it's disastrous. It's a disaster waiting to happen.
Great.
Or is currently happening. Like, tell me what their relationship is in this episode, Felice and August, that isn't just a disaster. It's a train wreck. Like, Felice endures a lot this episode. So much that I wanted her to snap. And
God, I'd love to see her snap.
She didn't snap.
No.
In so many characters, I might find this sort of perseverance admirable.
Yeah, but I don't think it's admirable to have perseverance in a bad relationship.
Right. Like, when it's rooted in self-pity and is actively keeping this character... It is actively keeping this character in a relationship she never should have been in the first place.
Yeah.
That's when I, like, no longer admire patience as a trait.
Yeah. I agree.
Or like persevering through a bad situation. Because, like, in as much as any relationship is anyone's quote unquote fault, which I don't like using that terminology here, but, like, Felice did go to August.
Mm-hmm.
Which I think also might be part of the thing that's holding her back. Is that, like, this isn't a thing that happens to her. It's something she actively brought about through her own actions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Felice isn't really someone to back down after she's made a decision. She's trying to own it when you only had to own it up through, like, maybe the first time you guys slept together. Past that, you did not owe August anything. I mean, she didn't August owe him anything ever, but, like, it's like you went there with the intention of having sex with him. Cool. That did not mean you needed to start an actual relationship with him. That did not mean you needed to keep having sex with him. But I think she kind of considered herself in too deep at that point.
Yeah.
But, like, I want to say this to the listeners and to Felice, even though she can't hear me. Like, deciding to sleep with someone once does not give them the right to a relationship with you.
Yeah.
Like, especially when you yourself know how fucked up you were.
Yeah.
Not like she wasn't sober, but, like, that she was basically emotionally fucked up, like, sort of drunk on heartbreak. Like, she was not in her right mind when she did that, and no one can convince me otherwise. Like, Felice in her right mind would not fuck August, and I believe that. I don't think
anybody in their right mind would fuck August.
Not if they knew him. Not if they knew him.
No.
Or at least, like, saw him for all he is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Because, like, patience has become a toxic virtue in Felice. That is, like, when patience becomes a toxic virtue, that, like a toxic trait that, like, is no longer serving you, but is serving other people and their ability to walk all over you.
Yeah.
Or, like, to tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Like,
you know, I think the main takeaway from this is just, like, be selfish.
Yeah. Which is, like, a lesson I think a lot of us need to learn. Me, especially. Like, we talked in a previous character episode about my tendency towards toxic empathy, of having benefits of, like, regarding my, like, lack of grace for characters who are similar to me. Which is actually legitimately something I brought up in therapy the other day.
We love therapy at PDTA.
Oh, yes. But like Felice is displaying toxic patience.
Yeah.
Extending her belief in giving others the benefit of the doubt so far that she's staying with fucking August Horn.
Yeah. That's a new low.
Like, this is the same patience that did allow her to give Sarah a second chance this episode. But in this case, it is being gravely misapplied because it's like being patient with Sarah for a moment of an easy mistake to make because it was never, as stated before, like it was never properly communicated to Sarah that was a secret.
Mm-hmm.
But like with August, it has reached the level of very clear conflict avoidance.
Yeah.
Like Felice is being a peacekeeper when she should just be ending this before it started.
Yeah.
And it's like way easier. It's way easy for us to sit here on mics and just proclaim this to the world and be like, and like wag our finger at Felice, like, you should have done this, you should have done that. But it's like, this is coming from a place of genuine care for Felice as a character at this point. Mm-hmm. And like a genuine belief that like, I mean, anyone deserves better than August, but especially Felice deserves so much better than August.
Yeah. Can we talk about how I don't think she actually likes him though?
Yes.
I think she's asexual.
And I think that's a valid reading. I think there's more than one interpretation, and I don't actually know where I land. I guess we'll see by the end of the series. But
I think she's asexual, and that might be self-indulgent, and I'll acknowledge that. Watching
every episode at least twice, I don't know really, and I don't know if Felice. I mean, Felice definitely doesn't know, so I'm not. That's I think part of why. No. Like, I frequently am not of a tendency to speculate on a character's sexuality until they start questioning it themselves.
I think that's really healthy. I don't do that.
like friend of the podcast, Alec, and I were starting a new show that I've listeners will have met him at this point. I was starting about a new show that one, like, as is usually our wont, I've seen it before, he hasn't, and he guessed one of the characters' sexuality 4 episodes before I did.
What a guy! What show? What character?
It is Dead Boy Detectives.
Yeah.
Edwin.
What a fucking guy! I'm so proud of him.
And it's not that I take that back. It's not that I suspected Edwin was gay. But he guessed who Edwin liked on the show before I did. Because Edwin had barely started questioning it.
God, you've trained him so well.
And yet he's like, but also he called me out being like, this wouldn't be a show that you're asking me to watch if there wasn't something like that here.
That's true. Like, that's fair.
And it was like, well, because the thing is, first, I thought all he was going to get was Edwin's sexuality, because I'd already gotten. Like I got a hint of it in episode 1, and we were on episode 2 when he guessed this. But then he guessed who Edwin likes. I'm like, and I was like, I couldn't. He's like, don't tell me this is the true. This is the case. This is the case. I'm like, I can't tell you that it's not the case. Like,
you've trained Alex so well.
We've watched so many queer shows at this point that it's just like, yeah. He gets it now. But like, again, like he does something, he's gone further than I go in terms of like questioning things before characters question them. So
the girls who get it.
Yes. Anyways, but like this goes to my point. My little next point of my notes was, and again, I swear Felice doesn't even like August. Like,
yeah, I think she's asexual. That's just how I feel.
And then this is where the aloe in me popped out. I'm like, okay, objectively, he's hot, as in like conventionally attractive, but his personality makes him generally repulsive.
Mm-hmm. He's sort of like did you read Harry Potter?
Most of it, yeah.
You know, like Malfoy?
Oh, yeah. Trans rights, by the way.
Trans rights. We hate J.K. Rowling, but
I mean, all of you could probably figure out from our gender identity, but trans rights. Anyways,
trans rights. Happy Pride.
Trans rights. Fuck J.K. Rowling. Anyways,
yeah, we hate J.K. Rowling in this house.
Yeah. Hopefully, our listeners get why, and if you don't, I don't know why you're listening to this podcast.
If you don't get why, look at her Twitter.
Look it up. Look it up. Yeah. Anyways,
just go on her ex.
Yeah. No, but I have always said to Margaret that Malta is far hotter than August is.
He is, and I don't understand how that works.
It's just like there's a thing that comes over Malta when he's playing August that like he is August. And when he is Malta,
eel.
Malta is just so hot.
August is like a slimy little electric eel. And Malta is just like a person.
Yeah, Malta is a person, and he's an actor who's very conventionally attractive. And like there isn't that much difference other than Malta often has facial hair and August never does. But it's like
if August had facial hair, I think he'd look worse.
Fair. And it's just like
I think he would look like a predator if he had facial hair.
And it's like really it's just a testament to Malta's acting that he can turn, which
but it's
I feel
bonkers.
Like this is literally our assassination of August bleeding into a character complicated about Felice, but like anyways,
we just hate August so much.
All I'm just saying is I like get if Felice can like put out of mind for like 5 seconds how terrible August is as a person and just be like, I'm having sex with a body. Like, I don't know. I get it.
That was the most ace way you could explain that in the world.
Well, the way that ace people can describe it is often a very bisexual way of describing it too.
Yeah.
For those of you who have been able to, like, I know I wasn't able to watch it until very recently, but those of you who have watched Mary and George, bodies are just bodies, is a thing they say on that show. And also pulling out a little Omar Rudberg, mi casa su casa, you've got a body, I've got a body, let's have a party. Like,
yeah.
Anyways, that was a bisexual tangent. And also a bit of an ace tangent, but it's,
my entire life is an ace tangent.
But anyways. I don't know. Like, maybe I'm once again relating a little too hard and projecting onto Felice what I wish my past self would have done in a relationship that was basically unhealthy from the jump. But ignoring your own pleasure during sex, basically accusing you of infidelity in your mind just for closing your eyes, demanding that you always answer your phone, demanding that you know that he knows where you are every second of the day. And then Felice doesn't even know about this, but also getting mad you're not where your Instagram says you are, and then kissing your best friend without your consent to get back at you for perceived cheating.
For perceived cheating because you posted something after you left, presumably.
Like, all the heinous things we listed that August did last episode, all but like one of them was against Felice. Only two of them. He kissed Felice without her. He just kissed Sarah without her consent, and then recorded Wilhelm and Simon. But other than that, everything else was just him being a shitty boyfriend. Yeah. Like, okay, side note, in an earlier episode, we were unsure whether or not August kissed Sarah before or after his fight with Felice in her bedroom. The fight in her bedroom came first because it happened right after Felice makes up with Sarah. Because also, like, August wouldn't have kissed Sarah if her and Felice weren't friends again. Just clearing that up because I think we got it wrong. So if anyone DM'd us about that, I'm just going to say catch us in a couple weeks. And then, yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard to remember the chronology.
Yeah, it's all good. Like, I don't know. It's all just too much. Like, August is just too much. And which is why I wanted Felice to snap. And she didn't snap.
Yeah.
Like, as mentioned before, August is so insufferable in this episode that I feel Felice is compromised as long as she's with him.
I agree.
And it's like, again, this is not actually like making her complicated because of her relationship with another person necessarily. It's about who she is being by staying in that relationship.
Yeah.
Is not someone I can in good conscience stan, just like partially because of her association with August, but just because, like, again,
it's like compromising your principles to a certain degree.
Yeah. You're compromising your principles to a certain degree by staying with him, and like you're not knowing your own worth, which is not necessarily a requirement for standing, But like,
no, because we stand Wilhelm every episode.
Exactly. But with given where Felice started, I don't know. Everything else I have to say, I think, is in my summary. So do you have anything else to say? Okay. Got anything else before I get my summary?
No.
Okay. Okay. In summary, it's unfair, but I want more from Felice. I want the completion of this self-improvement arc, and she cannot improve while she's dating August, plain and simple.
Yeah.
A general guideline going forward in character episodes: if a character has ever been assassinated, they need to work really hard in order to get to character standing levels. Would you agree?
I would agree.
Like, if we ever hate you enough to assassinate you, we need actual proof that you've changed. And Felice isn't real. Like, she's better.
Yeah, she's getting there for sure.
I wouldn't say she's like really changed.
No.
But in short, drop August, Felice, and I will stand you in a heartbeat. That's a promise.
That is a promise, and I also agree with that, because that was essentially my cold open.
Yes. Is there anything you would like to add?
Nope. Thank you for listening.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add before I take us out?
I don't think so. I was trying to make this episode at least a half hour long, but I think we've got to say what really slow. No, listeners gonna hate us
for listening.
Just take us out. We're good.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to keep up to date with when we release new episodes and other pod-related announcements, you can check out our Instagram or our threads at People Don't Talk About. Margaret sometimes spoils things over there. Whoop. Our next episode will be Character Standing of Sarah, Season 1, Episode 4. So stay tuned.
Oh, and I will say it's okay that you. It's probably okay that you spoil things. I've been starting to spoil things on our Instagram stories, but I do try to make sure.
Well, it's not actual show things. It's PDTA things upcoming.
Oh, that. Okay, yeah, that fair. Oh, yeah, but also heads up.
I posted about Alec like 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, but yeah.
But I didn't actually say what it was. It was just thinking, plotting, planning, thinking, planning, plotting, something along those lines.
There's basically a thing where I basically decided that like a lot of the posts that are coming on our podcast Instagram Explore page are season 3 related. And so in order to like have things to post on our story, like I need to just throw up like spoiler alert for season 3 and then just go for it. So
yeah, heads
up. I think at this point, like the show is short enough that I would gather that a lot of people listening, even if they haven't finished the show, will have finished the show largely by the time they go to get around to following the Instagram. But I try to make sure I let people know in the stories before I do something like that.
Yeah.
Anyways, you said stay tuned and then I cut you off. So
that's okay. And with that, all that's left to say is let's start a revolution,
baby.